Hello, it's Lee here. Thanks for joining me again in my little art room. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card for Shinuki Arts Full Deck Challenge 2. So we're up to card number 8 and the prompts are napkin, a tag, so I've got a collection of paper and fabrics there, scribbling, so I'm going to use that Uniball pen, and metallic, so I've got some gold and some rose gold paint, and we'll see what I'll do with that. I'm not really sure at this point. So the first thing I need to do is attach some of the napkin to the card. So to glue that down, first of all I need to cut out a piece the right size, or a little bit bigger than the card, separate the layers and then glue it on, and I'm going to use matte medium to glue it down with. So I've got my piece here and I set about to separate the layers, and I'm using a piece of sticky tape to do that. So I get one layer off, then I reapply the tape to get the next layer off, but nothing comes up, so I think, oh, this must only have 2 layers. So I go ahead and start putting down the matte medium so I can glue the napkin onto the card. Remember this point because there was actually 3 layers. I found out a bit later on, so you'll see what happens when I glue this down. Okay, so I'm going to apply the napkin to the card, and it just didn't feel right from the start, and I didn't, the penny just did not drop at all as to why that was. So when I turn it over, you'll see what happens. So what I'm doing here is just folding that over so that I know it'll tear a bit easier. So when I turn it back over, I'm aware that something isn't quite right on the front. It's all sort of like the glue isn't sticking. That's what I thought was happening, is the glue's not sticking. So I thought, oh, I'll roll it with the brayer to see what difference it makes. And it's pulling up the tissue, and I thought, what on earth is going on? I had no idea. And so I thought, well, I'll put another layer of matte medium on there. That might sort it out. So I thought maybe I didn't put enough on. I still didn't click to the idea that I had actually left 2 layers there. And you can see it's buckling still. So I get the brush, and there's probably still a bit matte medium left on there. Now I have this brilliant idea of adding some gesso to it. So this is clear gesso. I think, well, maybe that will fix the problem. So I'm giving that a liberal coating, and it does actually help with other things later on sticking to it. And then I see a bit more of the napkin. I'm starting to get the idea now. So I've got this little scrap, and I thought I'm going to just see whether there is actually 3 layers, and yes, of course there is. What the heck. Anyway, that's the first time this has happened to me. I thought it was really unusual, but anyway. So I had that little bit there, so I thought I'd plonk it down right in that spot. Give it a bit of a dry with my heat gun, because the glue and the gesso had made the card quite wet and it was bending, so I wanted it to be nice and flat so I can continue working on it. So what I'm doing here is I'm just running the card through that red gold paint to get a nice thick bead along the edge of the card. I like the way you can still see the hearts through the napkin, and the colour of this paint is actually very similar to the colour of the hearts on the card. You wouldn't think so, but if you put them side by side, but when I got them on the card as they are now, they looked really similar. So making sure I'm giving that a really good coat along the edges and using up whatever paint I've got on my piece of transparency there, which I'm just using as a little makeshift palette. So I like the way that looks. I love that red rose gold paint. It's really nice. It's a Jo Sonja one. And now I've got this horrible gold paint I got from Spotlight. It's by Semco. You just tip the tube up and it just pours out of the tube. It's so runny. Now I made this little stencil and I thought maybe some of that stenciled on here would look nice, some of the gold paint. It wasn't very successful. It left a few little patterns there, but it doesn't matter. So the next thing I'm doing is thinking about the tag that I'm going to put on. So I love that fabric. It's like an oriental pattern and it's got a lot of red and black and gold in it, and it's like fans. So I decided to use a piece of that because it matches so well, and I'll just trim off the edge on so the fan is right in the middle of the fabric. Oh, that's the back that I'm trimming off before I glue it down. So here I am centering the fan in the middle of the scrap, and I'm going to use my Tombow glue to glue that on. Pulled out a few threads. It frays really easily, that fabric, and I like the threads sticking out every which way, so that was a nice little touch. And I thought because it is fabric, I'll make sure I use heaps of glue. So I put a fair bit on the tag itself and a little bit on the card and attached the tag to the card. And then I glued the back down. So far so good. Now I've got my Uniball pen and I decided to do a little bit of scribbling so the paint's all dry so I can draw over it. It's funny, once I started doing this I started feeling like a naughty child that was scribbling on a wall or something, so I went a little bit haywire here and got a bit carried away with my scribbling. I was having fun, and that's what this is all about, isn't it? Having fun. So that is actually the prompt satisfied, but I thought I'd go a bit further, and I've got some black ink in a little squeezy bottle. So I decided to put a couple of drops on there, but the ink is a little bit thick and it was, sticking up a bit too much. So I thought I'd tap the card and try and get it to run a little bit, but that didn't work. So I used a cloth to suck up some of the extra ink. And I did notice at one point I had 8 splotches of black ink on this, so it was the number 8 card, so that worked out well. But then I put my finger in the ink and I made an extra splotch up in the corner and ruined that one. So I'll give it a bit of a dry and just going around using my finger brush to apply a little bit more of that rose gold paint, just to intensify that reddy colour on the edge there. So this was a lot of fun to make. I'm really enjoying this challenge. I might even go back and do last year's. I'm not sure. So here's my finished card. So that's number 8 in Tanuki Arts Full Deck Challenge. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video. So bye for now. Hooroo from Australia.